Yesterday was Mother's Day, and for a huge percentage of my audience, that day didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like an ambush. So if you spent yesterday with a knot in your chest, scrolling past picture perfect mothers, picture perfect daughters, picture perfect sons, picture perfect breakfast in beds, and you couldn't quite name what you were feeling, I want to tell you something. What you were feeling has a name. It's anxiety, but it didn't start yesterday. Probably it started before you were even born. So in the next 15 minutes or so of this video, I'm going to show why the anxiety that you've been managing for years, even if it's high functioning anxiety that has you wired and tired, the anxiety that you can't switch off, the anxiety that your nervous system has been performing for as long as you can remember, it's not a personality flaw, it's not a chemical imbalance, it's not something that you need to medicate, it's a wound, and more often than not, it's not even yours. So let me get a little bit geeky for a minute. There's a researcher named Stanislav Grof, who's the founder of holotropic breathwork. Now, he spent decades mapping what happens to a developing baby in the womb. And what he found is that the fetus is so sensitive to its environment that it absorbs everything the mother is feeling. Not metaphorically, biologically. So the cortisol in her bloodstream, the adrenaline, the unprocessed grief, the not enoughness, the anxiety that she's been carrying since her own mother carried her, the baby is bathed in it for 9 months, as well as all the good stuff as well. But Grof mapped 4 what's called perinatal matrices. The first one is the oceanic bliss state, held, safe, one with everything. That's the first experience of unconditional love, and that's the experience a baby is supposed to have. But most of us didn't have that because our mothers were so stressed, they were anxious, they were carrying their own unhealed generational wounds. And we didn't have a developed nervous system to filter like what we were absorbing. We just absorbed it in one gulp, we just absorbed it whole. So her hypervigilance became our baseline. Her bracing becomes our default. Her not feeling safe become the first thing, like our developing nervous system learned about being alive, life, really. So that by the time we were born, our nervous system was already trained to scan for threat, to brace, to perform safety while really feeling none of it. And then we get pushed out of the only home we've ever known into the world, and nobody asked us if we were ready to leave. Now, this goes deeper than just your mother and you though. Here's the part that breaks most people's brain when they first hear it. Before your mother was born, your grandmother, your mother, and the earliest cellular traces of you were all in the same body. Your mother is a 4-month-old fetus in your grandmother's womb. She already had every single egg that she would ever produce in her adult lifespan, including the one that became you. So you just didn't spend 9 months in your mother, you also spent 5 months inside your gran. So think back to what gran went through, absorbing every conscious and unconscious thought that she had, every anxiety she didn't process, every grief that she swallowed, every panic attack she had at 3 in the morning because her husband was drunk, or there was a war on, or her own mother had just died, or she didn't know how she was going to feed the family that week. All of that, known and unknown, conscious and unconscious, expressed and suppressed, that's in your DNA. That's in your nervous system. That's the inheritance. And your grandmother got it from her mother, who got it from her mother, who got it from her mother, and so on. So the anxiety that you're managing today is not a thing that started with you. It started generations back, but it's being run through your nervous system right here, right now. So in the body that you're walking around in, that's where you're feeling it. But most of it might not even be yours. So understand, this isn't about blaming people, it's about understanding that there's 3 generations of women in one body, or 3 generations in one body. That's the mother wound, that's the anxiety wound. They are the same. So how does this anxiety, this inherited generational anxiety, show up in the man or woman you are today? So let me describe the high flyer to you. Let me describe women that come to me. She's typically somewhere between 28 35. She's brilliant at her job. She's been promoted faster than most. She runs the meeting, she closes the deal, she's the one that the team relies on when everything is on fire. She's by like every external measure winning at life. But she's also not had a deep night's sleep in 5 years. She wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, not because she chose to, because her body that has been wired since before she was born knows to scan for what might be coming. But by 5:15, she's ready. She's already mentally 3 emails ahead of the day. By 6 o'clock, she's at the gym. Because moving the body discharges the cortisol that's already flooding her system, which is a good thing. If she doesn't burn it off, she's going to snap at someone before lunch. But what I typically see is CrossFit, high rocks, maybe a cold plunge, whatever it takes. Coffee at 7 o'clock, espresso shots. She's cut down, but she literally can't function without it. By the time she's at her desk at 9 o'clock, she's been managing her nervous system for 4 hours, and most of her colleagues haven't even gotten out of bed. She gets shit done. She's effective. She's the one that everyone wants in the room. They want her on their team. But somewhere in the back of her chest, all day, every day, there's this like a little low-grade hum of dread. Like that bracing, a scanning, a waiting for the other shoe to drop. She tries to name it, but she can't. Doesn't have a clear source. It's not about anything specific per se. It's just there. It's always been there. But what she doesn't know is that hum in her chest is not anxiety in the way like the medical profession will talk about anxiety. It's not a chemical imbalance. It's not too much coffee. Coffee is the symptom. The high rocks is the symptom. None of these things are disorders. The anxiety itself is not a disorder, but it's the residue of 3 generations of women whose nervous systems learned that love is conditional, safety is performance, calm is a luxury you can't afford. She's running her grandmother's nervous system through her mother and a body that was never asked. And everything that came with that as well. And the father one's attached to us as well. And here's the part that makes the anxiety one so brutal for the career woman specifically. She's been rewarded for it her whole life. The hypervigilance is what makes her good at her job. The scanning is what catches details that other people miss. The overperformance is what gets her promotions in a predominantly male workplace. The inability to rest is what gives her the output. So her wound is like her competitive advantage. But that is exactly why she will never voluntarily put it down. Because somewhere inside her, she's not sure who the hell she is without it. And that becomes that's the real prison. It's not the anxiety. It's the fear of, who am I if I don't have that? It allows her to then be in her overly masculine when she's craving to be in her feminine. And that's the dovetail of the mother and the father wound here. Let's go back a little bit. Let's let me tell you where this comes from. When you were a child, and this is true whether you remember it consciously or not, your nervous system figured out very early on that performance was the only reliable way to get your mother's love, or what felt like love. And we'll come back to that. Again, hear this, mothers, this isn't about the name, blame and shame game. You were born a daughter too. So a lot of mothers, mine included, they weren't regulated. They had their own unhealed mother wound and father wound, their own unexpressed anxiety, their own grief, their own resentment, their own dreams they had to give up to have you, to have me. And without realising they were doing it, they made their love conditional on performance, being a good girl, being a good boy. So if you got the grades, you got the warmth. If you didn't make waves, you got the warmth. If you read her mood, the second you walked in the door and adjusted yourself to it, then you would get the warmth. So the good girl and the good boy got the warmth. But here's the thing. All that does is perpetuate the wound deeper than anything else. Because mothers can tend to peacock their high-achieving kids in front of other mothers. The straight-A daughter or son, the athletic son or daughter, the well-behaved children. So you become like a trophy. You become the evidence that, hey, I'm a good mum. Look what I've created. Look at my daughter. She got the scholarship. Look at my daughter. She's making 6 figures. She's her own boss. Or my girl, she's going to Cambridge. She just get promoted again. I told you she was something else. This is the same for sons as well, but slightly different. But it feels like love, because we get attention. She's telling other people we're good, so she must be proud. So we swell. So we go, oh, if I do that, I get love, so let me do more of it to get more of it again. But the brutal truth is, that's not love, that's performance. That's performance-based approval. And behind closed doors, when the performance drops, when you got a B instead of an A, when you said you didn't want to do, I don't know, the violin lesson, when you cried about something that didn't fit her narrative or her plan or what she wanted for you, then the warmth goes along with it. So suddenly the mother who paraded you around her friends goes cold, or critical, or distant, or rageful. So your nervous system learns a brutal lesson that love is conditional. Calm is a luxury, stillness is dangerous, because if I stop performing, love leaves. So now you're in your 30s, you're at the top of your career, you're making the salary that you've always said you wanted, you're crushing it in every external metric, but you can't stop performing for a single fucking minute. Because somewhere in your nervous system, there's a little 5 or 6 year old girl who learned that the moment she stops being impressive, and boys, goes a little bit deeper, a little bit different, but the warmth disappears, the unconditional love goes. She doesn't know there is anywhere safe to rest. She doesn't know who she'd be without the performance. She's terrified of the silence that would come if she stopped achieving for just 1 week or took a week off. So that's the trophy child in the adult body. That's the boss babe, or in females' term, don't shoot me, the boss bitch. I don't like that. But that's the career woman that's calling herself successful, but it's her nervous system screaming for somebody, anybody, to please love me without having to fucking earn it. But that's been a reality for so long. And listen, there's a layer underneath all of this, and almost nobody talks about it. It's called the daughter double bind. Now, this is the bind here. Your mother, in all her humanness, had a life that she didn't get to live fully. She had dreams that she had to put down to have you, to have us. She had a career she gave up, or maybe never even got to start, or watched it slip away while she changed your nappies. So she had a version of herself she never became, and as you grow into a woman, she watches you become the woman that she never got to be. So she doesn't always like this. Sometimes she does. Sometimes there's pure pride, but underneath the pride sometimes there's often something else. There's grief. There can be envy. Envy, of course, that she can't admit, even to herself. And there's a quiet resentment. There's an unconscious sense that you're like full empowerment is a kind of like indictment of the life that she settled for. So as a young woman, you pick up on this, not consciously, but in the subtleties of her tonality. When you tell her, like, you got the promotion or you've met someone, you pick it up in her, ever so slight, but it's there, withdrawals. When you tell her you're moving away for your dream job, you pick up in the comment that lands sideways, oh, it must be nice to have that opportunity, or it must be nice to have time to do those things. Your nervous system clocks it. So empowerment costs love. That's the program you start to run. Becoming fully yourself risks losing her. So most daughters do like an unconscious calculation at this point. They choose to stay small enough so that mum doesn't feel the loss, to try and protect her in some way. And so she doesn't resent, they take it on for themselves. They stay small enough to be relatable. They underplay the wins, they downplay the partner. They keep the version of themselves on display that doesn't threaten their mum's narrative about her own life, her own self-worth. Or, to be honest, this is the version I see the most in the women that I work with. They go completely in another direction. They go so hyper-independent. They become unstoppable, unbreakable, so successful that they just don't need anything, whether it's from their mother or from anyone. Their hearts harden. They go hyper-masculine. The way I do everything on my own is like an armour and badge of honour, but the thing is, both versions are still the wound running. So whether you shrink to keep her, or whether you overbuild to keep her out so you don't need her, you don't need anyone, both responses are organised around the original problem. So your nervous system is still in conversation with your mum's, it's just at a very different volume. And this is the part that lands for the career women specifically. The harder you've worked to become the woman your mother never got to be, the more you've outrun her. But somewhere inside you, there is a low hum of guilt for that. A little whisper that says, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Do you know how much she had to give up for you to have these freedoms? But that whisper isn't yours, it's hers. It's the unspoken thing that your mum could never quite say out loud. It's the resentment of a woman that never got to live her life fully, who never got to have what you have. So your nervous system's been absorbing that for 30 odd years. Now you can't outwork the whisper. You can't out earn it. You can't out achieve it. Every promotion you get is just more evidence of the betrayal that she can't name. So underneath your anxiety, the high performance, underneath the bracing and the tightness, there's a little 5 or 6 year old girl who's wondering very quietly, am I allowed to be this big? Do I deserve to take up this amount of space? Do I deserve to have this success? Which brings us back to yesterday, Mother's Day. It's the only day of the year specifically designed to celebrate the relationship that for so many women is actually the source of their deepest pain. Many aren't even aware of it. But the algorithm will pump perfect mums, perfect daughters, and ear feeds for 24 to 72 hours straight. And every one of those images lands in the imprint of the nervous system that learned that love is conditional. So if your mum is sadly passed, obviously this day hurts. But if your mother is alive, but you're estranged, the day also hurts. If your mum can never turn up the way you needed her to be, that can hurt. If she's alive and you're still pretending that the relationship is amazing, you're putting it on the gram, posting the photos, you've sent the card, bought the flowers, took her to the spa, performing the daughter you were trained to be, sometimes it hurts in the loudest, most invisible way of all. And if you're a mother yourself, you can be watching your own kids, feeling that quiet fear that, fuck, I might be passing this on. That also hurts. It's pressure cooker being a mother. If you can't have children, or you've lost children, or chose not to have children, the day can also hurt. So the wounds run in multiple directions here, and yesterday it lit up your nervous system, whether you consciously noticed it or not. So the anxiety that you're feeling today, the tightness in the chest, that low-grade dread over functioning at work even more than usual, snap at the partner over nothing, that's the residue of this. That's the nervous system after a day of like social and cultural ambush. But the good news is, there's always good news, the wound wasn't installed in the thinking part of your mind, not in the brain. So you can't heal it with thought. You can't affirmation your way out of it. You can't positively mindset, audiobook or podcast your way out of it. You can't read another book or sign up for another course. The wound is in your nervous system. It lives in your tissues. The issues are in your tissues, as they say. Which means to heal it, you need a somatic, an energetic, and a neuroscientific approach. Because it's nervous system work. It's a slow, patient, body-led work of teaching a nervous system that learned to brace before you were even born, that now is finally safe to soften into your feminine. And that's the work that we do with men and women all over the world for years now. Healing these deep patterns, these generational, cultural, ancestral mother and father wounds that kill intimacy, and the same wounds that block simultaneous love and success. So many women and men think they have to choose one or both, or one or the other, sorry. But they're the same wounds. So the one that has her unable to receive love is the same one that has her unable to switch off at work. The one that has her shrinking around her mother is the same one that has her overperforming in her career. The one that has her wired and tired at 5 a.m. is the same one that has her unable to trust the regulated man standing in front of her that she's quietly praying for and has been for some time. The wound isn't separate here, it's just different expressions. And we can help you with this. Now, next Tuesday, the 19th of May, we're running a free masterclass called From Chaos to Calm. go for about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. And we're going to give you the nervous system framework, the somatic entry points, and the language that the body and the brain needs to start naming what's been running you since before you were even born. Now, it's completely free. The link is in the description below this video if you want to register for that. But also, on top of that, the deep work in 3 weeks, things the 3rd of June. For the women who know the mother wound is the root that's blocking the love that has you perform, who watched yesterday's content land in their body and went, fuck, this is it. This is what's actually been running the show the whole time. We're running our in-depth mother wound healing workshop. It's called Her Pain Stops Here. Now, this would go for 3 hours. It's very hands-on. It's going to be $97 for that one. It's not for everyone. It's for the woman who is done managing her anxiety and is ready to go to the root, over the symptoms, ready to get to the source. If that's you, the links to register is also in the description. But I would encourage you also comment mother below this video. I'm going to send you a free mother wound assessment as well as the workshop details. It's going to help you for that there. But just understand this, that the bloodline that heals one generation, i.e. yourself, it saves multiple. Yours, your mother's, your grand's, and the ones downstream from you. Whether it's your own children, the children you'll never have, the women, your sister too, or the version of yourself that you've been carrying for 3-4 decades. This work matters. So Mother's Day was hard for a reason for so many people. The reason is in your body. The work is real and it's available and it's right here. So you just need to check out the description for the links below, as I've said, and I'll see you hopefully, and I'll see you next Tuesday on the free masterclass and in 3 weeks to heal this at the root. But until then, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. This work get to being in the hands of the many because it's so needed. And don't forget, in the meantime, to breathe, slow down, drop your shoulders, soften your jaw. Just give yourself permission to just be, as your body is always listening. It's time out you listening to your body. Okay, and also give us a follow on Instagram if you want more short digestible clips. Thanks for listening.